Jack. This is a friendly celebration.
Fiddly-dee!
I don't much like the way you celebrate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Okay, I think I'm checked in.
Hello, Paul.
What did you say to Patty?
What did I say?
Come on, fess up.
Oh, is it obvious?
Yeah, it's obvious. You need some pancake makeup, man. You think you'd learn better than talk back after all this time?
I know she's a tough customer, right? No, I ran into a guy named Cement.
I've met him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. So yeah. So how are you doing, sir?
Oh, we're doing fine. Everything's going well here. Mom and I are making plans to see what we're going to do for the Christmas holidays. I think we're going to take a road trip, but we want to go north. But of course, Christmas is in that snowy time.
That's right.
And we don't want to get caught up somewhere where we get stuck. But
well,
we were going to go.
You thinking about going to Colorado?
Well, we just came from Colorado last week, so that was not it. One of the things I wanted to go see is the Vietnam War Memorial at Texas Tech in I think it's in Lubbock.
Yeah, it's in Lubbock. Yeah, that weather ought to be pretty good going over there. Sometimes the Panhandle can be rough, but it should be okay.
Well, it's just a hit or miss thing. It's either going to snow or it's not. Really, what it boils down to. And we'll watch the weather, and if it looks like it's going to be bad, we'll hunker down maybe where we are and let it pass, and then go.
Yeah, Lubbock is pretty far south. It's in the western part of Texas, but it's south, so it'll be okay.
Yeah,
but you're right. Yeah, you never know what's going to be. We went over there for a game years ago. I took my kids there for a football game, and it was late fall. I don't know if it was November. I think it was November, but the weather was pretty good all the way down and back. So
yeah,
you're talking December or November?
Well, December. We're gonna leave. Yeah. We're gonna go up to Phoenix for Christmas with the kids up there, and then take off from there, and then we're gonna go back around to Mississippi to see her brother. And then on the way, we're gonna stop and fill my coolers with good Cajun food.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna stop in Kerrville and see my brother,
yeah.
And then we'll head on kind of home from there. So it's kind of a big circle route.
Kerrville's right by San Antonio, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, about an hour west of I-10.
Right. Yeah, that's near where they had the bad flooding.
Yeah, that's where they had the bad flooding. That's where
was he affected by that? He was okay by that.
Yeah, well, he's it's a big valley.
Yeah, I know it is. He's up in the hills.
He's up on the hills, yeah.
Yeah.
So he wasn't affected by the rains.
Yeah, we've been through there several times, Kerrville. So there's a really nice Cracker Barrel there.
I bet there's a drive-through liquor store.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You just bring your pickup truck in there and they start loading cases in the back to you, yell uncle.
Moonshine and everything, right?
I guess so. And you can get barbecue there too. So
yeah.
It's a good one-stop shop.
Hey, we got Kim Bennett coming in here.
There he is.
Hello, Mr. Bennett.
Hello, gentlemen.
How are you? Hello, we got Paul on and you. And how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Up in Utah, visiting.
Oh, you are?
Kids and grandkids.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. I see.
You have to stretch that wire a long way to get it from Utah.
Yeah,
that's right.
They have internet in Utah, Ken?
What's that?
They have internet in Utah?
Apparently.
Hey, did you? We didn't talk about it last week or last couple of shows, but I see you elected your new leader for the Mormon Church, for the Church of Jesus Christ
of
Latter-day Saints.
It's not actually an election.
Yeah, well, they've appointed him or picked him or chosen him.
We kind of have at least since the church was established back in 1830.
Yeah,
it's always the most senior apostle. We actually believe we try to organize the church the way that we think Jesus organized his church back in his time, with 12 apostles. But the most senior apostle ends up becoming the president. That means we have usually older men as president of the church, but that's the way it is. Yeah. But it's Dallin Oaks, former Utah Supreme Court Justice.
Oh, okay. How old is he?
I think he's 93 or something. 93.
Wow. Yeah.
You guys start at the other end of the scale, don't you?
That's right.
Very good. Yeah. Well, I did see the little bit of news about that. So congratulations. I hope that's a good pick for you guys.
I think so. I mean, we regret the passing of the previous prophet, we call him, Russell Nelson, who was a world-renowned heart surgeon. Wow. So we're going from a medical man to a man of the law.
There you go. Okay. Well, I'm kind of expecting Jeff. Jeff was going to try to get on with us, and I thought that Zack was going to join us and remind me that he's got a story he wants to tell when we finish up with the show today. So, but we can get started. I sent out a lot of information about military tribunals and commissions and the Constitution and kind of the historical perspective of all that, and which was really, I thought the information about Lincoln was pretty interesting. First, I would like your guys' comments about the China Southeast Asia trip by President Trump. What did you guys think? Have you been following the news? Any comments about that? Start off.
Well, I've been following it pretty closely. I think he's done a marvelous job, actually. I mean, he has roped that herd of cats and got them in line.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Negotiators, if you want to call them that. And so it looks like he's doing a pretty good job there. But you know what was interesting to me this morning? I was watching some of that, and it was interesting to me that he's not only doing that, he's building the ballroom at the White House. He's taking on the cartel. He's taking on, he's got troops and naval assets down in the Caribbean, watching that. And all the while, the government's shut down, and he's taking heat for that and reflecting it pretty well, I think, as far as that goes. But I mean, here's a man, I have trouble remembering, to brush my teeth before I go to bed at night. And this guy's running the world from an airplane. He's probably sleeping on that airplane. It's the only time he has to sleep.
Yeah.
And he's a month older than I am. And that gives me some hope for next month.
Good point, Paul. Ken, any comments about it? Have you been following it?
Well, I'll just pick up on one interesting point. He's probably sleeping on the airplane. I have been on an Air Force One, and I have been in the bedroom, the president's bedroom.
Cool.
And it's 2 single beds, at least it used to be when George W. Bush was the president, is when I was on Air Force.
This is a 747?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right up in the front of the airplane where it kind of comes to a point, and there's one single bed on one side and one single bed on the other side, and they kind of come together with a little nightstand or something that joins the two up at the top there. Pretty cozy and nice, but I'm sure he's getting what little sleep he seems to need, because I don't know how he does it.
I don't either. He works on about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, I think is what it appears to be. That's
a good nap for me, but if I don't get about 6 or 7 hours, I'm hurting. So
yeah, I'm like you, Ken, same way. I got to have 7 or 8 hours. So hello, Dr. Taylor.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you, sir? Zack joined us with Ken and Paul, but we haven't seen Jeff yet. So we're still, I don't know if he'll tap in from Virginia or not, but we'll see. They got some rough seas on the East Coast. So
yeah. Have you started recording?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're rolling. Thanks for the heads up, Paul. So we were talking about the President Trump's China trip, Southeast Asia, Korea, etc. Zack, any comments about that? Have you been following it? And you got anything to say about it? Or well done. Thanks for going.
He's just doing Trump.
Yeah, making those deals, right?
He's doing what Trump does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, Boeing is probably happy. I see that the South Koreans agreed to buy $300 million or $1 billion of planes or something. So.
Oh, wow, that's good. Yeah, I know Japan said they're going to buy a fleet of F-150 trucks. So I don't know how many. Is a fleet like a battalion? Is that a lot of trucks? Or
what is this? I heard from some friend of mine about a crown.
Yeah,
of some sort.
The South Koreans, the South Koreans gave him a crown, and it's some kind of a highest civilian award that they can award, and they've never given it to a president before, so they gave it to President Trump.
I read it was a replica of the crown that the king of South Korea, whatever that was. Of course, he wasn't South Korea at the time because they hadn't divided it, but but it's a model or a reproduction of the crown that the king of Korea at one time wore, which is
Well,
pretty
I'm
fancy.
sure I'm sure the No Kings folks on the left are going to have quite the time using that to.
Oh, and he'll wear it when they're just to upset him.
Just to mess with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll love that, won't they? You guys all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm just making sure this new mic is working right. What do you guys think? Let's take a little poll before we start talking about military tribunals and commissions, et cetera. And I want to take a little poll about the shutdown and what you guys think is going to happen now with the shutdown. Are they going to do away with the filibuster rule and open the government, or is John Thune still afraid to do that, or what do you guys think is going to happen?
I was reading just this afternoon that there's a bipartisan group working to just to get the clean CR approved by Senate, so it can go to the president, so it can be signed, so they can open the government, and then start negotiating on the healthcare issue and whatever that is. But the Democrats are taking all the heat on this.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah,
I read that 70% of those polled believe that it's the Democrats that are causing this problem and running people out of food stamps and everything else, which is not exactly what Chucky wanted to have happen.
And they would be right.
Oh yeah,
right. It's exactly who's to blame. Any comments, Ken, Zach, on the shutdown?
I think the food stamps runs out tomorrow, right?
November 1st.
November
day
1st.
after tomorrow.
Tomorrow would be the last day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to really take a turn, even worse for the Democrats, when a lot of their own people are missing those benefits to, put food on the table. I think it would only take 3 or 4 more. And I wish Thune would vote with the majority of the Republicans to suspend the filibuster for government shutdowns only.
Exactly.
Shutdowns only. I think they've already carved out judicial appointments as not being subject to the filibuster rule. I think ending government shutdowns should be added to that carve out, or create a carve out for their own. I was flabbergasted to listen to one of our Arizona U.S. senators, Gallego, was being interviewed on, I think it was MSNBC, and the host of the program had the integrity to point out that Gallego had been very, very critical of Republicans when they tried to shut down the government. And he asked him, why is it okay? Why is it bad for the Republicans to shut down the government? But, this is what you said, and how hypocritical that was. But he asked the question in a way that Gallego's answer was, I don't know, and I don't care. And boy, that just came across very poorly.
Yeah. Is that the same interview is that the same interview, Ken, that he cut him off finally? Said,
yes, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the market guy on MSNBC, I think. I don't know his name, but I saw that interview too. It was a kind of embarrassing.
Oh man.
I don't have much respect for any Democrat, but Gallego makes many Democrats look really nice, really good. I mean, he left his wife, who was the mayor of Phoenix, pregnant, 9 months pregnant, when he ran off with his new girlfriend in Washington. I got no use for that kind of person.
Yeah, I hear you. Any comments, Zach? What do you think about the shutdown? Is it going to be over? Are we going to get done with it, or is it going to keep going on? What do you think?
Oh boy, where to begin? If you will take a look at the move by the Chinese Communist Party to obtain farmland inside the United States, in such a move as to dominate agricultural ground level food production, it dovetails with making food unavailable to those that are not only disadvantaged socially, but easily agitated.
Yeah.
And could spur, should they react, to finally bring on martial law, which will cover seditious conspiracy, rebellions, riots, etc., and blame it on the Democrats.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to point out is the person I'm seeing representing this shutdown that they are calling Chuck Schumer is not Chuck Schumer. Doesn't look anything like him. He's younger. He's lighter.
It's lighter. So you think Schumer's got a double, or?
I don't know. It's just not Schumer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting comment.
So again, I think what is going on is a deflection, or like Trump allowing the judiciary to go absolutely wild and extra constitutional, he's setting them up for a fall.
Yeah.
And I think this may be the trigger. If martial law is induced, then that will nullify the courts and the president will have total authority. I think that's what he wants. I think that's what he needs. Because if you'll remember, I know Ken Bennett understands this, and I'm sure Spud would too. Primacy in speaking in politics is where you state more or less what you're going to do or what you plan, and then the rest of your speech or the rest of your program is built around it. And what was the first thing Trump said at his inauguration back in 2017, followed by the procession of military intelligence officers? What did he say? He said he was going to drain the swamp and return the republic to the people. And I think that's exactly what he's doing. And I think this is part of the plan.
That's a good idea, except half the people are too damn stupid to run the country.
Well, you're talking about hunger. That drives people that have small children screaming for food to do some pretty serious things to get food for their children.
True.
That's true.
And as the Democrats have pointed out, suffering by their constituents is leverage.
Mm-hmm.
But the direction of the leverage may come from a side they're not looking for.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely making a case for hanging this on the Democrats. It looks like political suicide to the Democrats to me. And that's why I'm looking at this Chuck Schumer guy and saying, that's not Chuck. Now, I believe Hakeem Jeffries would tell anything that the Russians or the other communists told him to say or do. But I don't think Chuck would do that. I think it's not that he's got too much pride. He's too scared.
Yeah. Where do you think the real Chuck is? Any thoughts about that?
Gitmo?
Going through the hurricane.
Well,
I think Gitmo just got hit by Melissa. So
yeah, they did, and had a couple of sailors washed overboard from the dock. And
yeah,
when the eye of the hurricane came close, they launched a helicopter, found them on a buoy, and saved them miraculously.
There you go. Good job.
Just another story. Now, the Air Force guys might believe that.
Yeah.
But us guys that have their merchant seaman document kind of giggle.
Did you guys see the? Have you seen the video of the Air Force guys flying through the eye of the hurricane?
Yeah.
Weather squadron there where I went to tech school. But yeah, C-130s. Pretty amazing video if you get a chance to watch it on YouTube. They have an outside the cockpit shot of going through it and into the eye, and then they have an inside the cockpit shot of it's a little bumpy inside the cockpit there, so they're riding it out. So 200-mile-an-hour winds is a rough ride.
Right.
Yeah.
You can fly through a hurricane. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They do it all
Yeah,
the
they
time.
do it all the time. Yeah. They fly this kind of a crisscross pattern to gather all the data, They fly across it through the eye and back out the other side and back through it, turn around, come back. So yeah, they do it all the time. And C-130 is a perfect airplane to do it because it is a tough airplane. It's built for that kind of thing. So yeah.
Their patterns dissect the eye of the hurricane, which is not, people call it the center of the hurricane, but it's not the physical center.
Right. Yeah.
It's they talk about the eye wall, and if you've ever seen it, it looks like a dark curtain, like you'd see on a bathtub of a shower.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the locals call it the pall, P-A-L-L, the pall of the hurricane. When they see the eye wall, they know that the major winds have stopped and the eye is either approaching or passing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And inside the eye, it's fairly calm, relatively calm.
Right.
I've been in the eye of two hurricanes in Louisiana. Well, one was in Mississippi. But it's amazing. You got all this wind and rain, and all of a sudden, and then poof, you got blue skies right above you. There's no wind, no rain. It's just perfectly calm. But not to go too far from the house because it's coming back.
Now, Paul, you're a helicopter pilot. Can helicopters fly into a hurricane and get into the eye?
You wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, that'd be a rough ride.
They can launch in the eye. They can't fly in there. They can't fly in 185 mile an hour wind.
No.
Okay.
The thing about a helicopter that's really interesting to in light with that is there's actually a very smooth riding airplane relative to turbulence because you've got this massive gyroscope up there, and in an airplane, if you hit a downdraft, the whole airplane drops. But with a helicopter, it walks its way down. Each wing, one on each side, spinning, absorbs that shock. So the first time I went up in an airplane after getting back from Vietnam with my brother in a little Cessna 150, I thought he was going to kill us because we were flying about 500 feet above the ground in Louisiana during the summer. And I'd never been in so much turbulence in my whole life. Now, this was, again, my first airplane ride after a year and a half of flying helicopters. And I really, honest to God, thought he didn't know what he was doing and we were going to die. And then, of course, I've learned since then that that's just how airplanes operate in that kind of environment. But I was so used to that totally smooth ride of a helicopter. You get little vibrations and things like that, but you don't get drops and thumps and bounces and tips and all that kind of stuff. in a helicopter
Yeah.
that you get in an airplane.
You hear about airliners falling all the time, thousands of feet
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah. So is your brother still flying, Paul?
I don't know. He hadn't talked to me in 15 years.
Oh, okay.
He got a little upset with me.
Yeah. Evidently, right?
Yeah.
Here's
So
your
let's.
meeting.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My brother got upset with me too, and we were not on speaking terms when he passed away. So yeah, it's crazy sometimes. It's just hard to believe. So let me tell you guys. Let's Zach kind of touched on this a little bit with his comments, and I sent out information about military tribunals and commissions and what happened to the Lincoln years historically is very interesting. I didn't realize that that when Lincoln was assassinated, actually the Civil War was technically over when he was assassinated. It was like a week later, right? But the vice president established a military tribunal to try the people that had killed the president. So I thought that was interesting because you hear all the time that you have to be in a declared war, to do this. Well, and what is, when I read all that information, I sent out everything. What is their definition of a war? How are the courts going to define war, right? I mean, is it actually declared war between two countries?
Like the war on
terror?
Yeah,
like the war on terror, or is it a drug war or a neighborhood war or it's kind of to me it's kind of an open-ended definition that the courts can really maneuver on when they want to make a decision. So but evidently the vice president said that it was related to the war, the assassination of President Lincoln. So he went ahead and they had military tribunals, and they tried all those folks with a military court. And now you talk about Nuremberg. Nuremberg was a military tribunal, but there were a lot of civilian judges there, right? That went over to help conduct those trials. So I found that interesting too. So it's not always just military people doing the judging. And another thing that I didn't realize, treason is not defined in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It is not a crime in the UCMJ, but it is a crime, of course, in the civilian courts. In our federal, there is treason. So you can't try somebody for treason under the UCMJ, a military person, but you can obviously try a military person for many, whether they're 126, isn't that right, Paul? 126 different counts in the UCMJ, 126 different crimes.
Gee,
listed.
I never had to learn that.
I think there's 126.
I got a good conduct medal.
They got a big long list. My point is they got a big long list, so it's hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to violate something if they want to, if they want to take away a couple of stripes or a couple of stars or whatever they want to do. But yeah,
well, that's kind of like that book that's out right now that says three crimes a day, 3 felonies a day.
Yeah.
Former FBI agent went through all the code of federal regulations and discovered that it's almost impossible to get up in the morning, go to work, come home in the afternoon without violating 3 felonies or committing 3 felonies under federal law.
So I'm going to put something up here on the screen. It's not anything to listen to. It's just some information. And let me get you going here. I'm sorry, I always get tangled up with this sharing stuff, but let's see if this works a little bit here. You guys let me know when you see this stuff.
It's loading.
Okay.
This is
Now it's coming up.
Yeah, this is an article by a person named her name is Medea Greer. She's an independent publisher, but she says military tribunals, why are they absolutely necessary? And she says, because the barbarians are inside the gate.
Exactly.
Why military tribunals? Because those traitors practically own and operate the U.S. criminal justice system. That's why. That was really kind of Lincoln's point in the Civil War at that time, because he didn't feel like they wouldn't try these people that they were arresting. They would drag it out, or they would find some way to not admonish him or whatever. So he decided, Lincoln did, to go with the military tribunals. And do we have the same kind of situation now, where as much as the courts, as much trouble as they're giving President Trump, are we in the same situation?
Yes.
We have a lot of volatility in our courts right now. Just the other day, and you remember, Ken, when we were talking about the writ of mandamus, they finally in Chicago, or was it Chicago? Wherever I think it was the judge in Chicago. She was going after the Border Patrol chief, telling him he had to come into court every day to explain to him why they were using force, right? I said, what? Anyway, the Seventh District used the writ of mandamus to cool that judge off, and stop that nonsense. So that little thing we talked about several weeks ago has come true now, and was used by the Seventh District to which they can use to tell a lower court, to knock it off, sort of. So anyway, a lot of turmoil in the courts, and I see Paul's dropped off here, but maybe he's going to get something or something. So anyway, comments. Anybody would like to say more about that, about the Civil War, about Lincoln, about the courts? Do we have the same turmoil now? Can we try these people? How about all the people that people want to get punished for trying to undermine Trump? Now you've got Arctic Frost on top of that, right? This Arctic Frost thing, where they went after all these congressmen and senators and Trump and Jack Smith, and do we need to use military tribunals to go after these people? I'm going to admit Paul again.
You've opened 3 Pandora's boxes.
Yeah, I know. See what fun this is?
Well, the term war has changed. What constitutes war is no longer kinetic warfare, tanks and artillery.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with infiltrating the government, compromising senators and congressmen, overthrowing elections,
compromising the courts,
lawfare.
Yeah.
I think Trump's setting them up for martial law, and I want to also mention that martial law is not mentioned in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
What we do know is that with the declaration of martial law, that citizens can be tried by military commissions / tribunals. Usually, a JAG officer runs the hearing, and it has 3 appointed military officers sitting in judges. That's why it's called a tribunal. 3 judges. Usually takes less than 3 days. Some of them take an hour.
Yeah.
When Trump said we have it all, there was 200,000 sealed indictments. And they've been opening those sealed indictments one by one. What a lot of people don't know is when Jeff Sessions backed out of being the Attorney General in Trump's first term. He actually took over the progress of finding and locating these people to set them up for indictment under the cover of saying he was a bad guy. But he was actually a patriot doing what he does best, and that's work behind the scenes. And he did it wonderfully. And he had Huber in Salt Lake City and another guy here in Washington, D.C. Now, the other thing I want to mention is Washington, D.C. is not a state. It is not U.S. territory.
Right.
It is the District of Columbia and subject to the District of Columbia. Nothing else. Yes, federal law is enforced there. And they have a representative, I think it's a non-voting representative in Congress. So
Zach, Zach, what is the ultimate governmental authority in the district? Isn't it Congress?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes. And I think there is a representative, a non-voting representative that sits in Congress. I don't know if they're there every day or not, but if they can't vote, I don't know, other than present the case of DC before the Congress, they couldn't vote on it. So it's probably just complimentary, just so they'll have something to take back to the board and the people that run DC.
Some breadcrumb given them instead of statehood decades ago.
Probably, yeah. That's a good point. So did Congress allow DC to be run like a city, right? They set up a structure where they could have a mayor and a police force and all that thing, but they oversaw all that and they could withdraw that at any time.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they can.
I suspect, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard talk about that they could suspend all that anytime they wanted to, and or they can tell, they can say, well, you're not doing a good job, so we're going to rescind. We're going to rescind that now, that authority.
So Zach, you said that military law is not referenced in Congress. What did you in the Constitution?
Martial law.
Martial law.
Yeah, martial law.
So it's a construct.
So martial law is a construct from congressional passed U.S. statutes that create the idea and the subject of martial law, but it's not constitutional based.
It's not in the Constitution. It's lawful if certain elements are exhibited, like insurrection or seditious conspiracy, secession from the United States, for instance. Those kinds of things can trigger martial law. In the state, the governor can declare martial law.
I was going to say, isn't it in some of the state constitutions?
Not sure. I'm not sure all states have that in their constitution.
Yeah,
I know some
interesting.
do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they declared martial law in California when the Watts riots went on, and then they asked for help because they couldn't enforce it right. So,
well, one of the
on a national level, martial law can be declared by the president,
yes,
and or by the Congress,
yes,
but it's not based in the Constitution. It's based in laws that the Congress and previous presidents have passed.
Precedent,
yes. U.S. code. It's in U.S. code, Zach?
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe so. It's somewhat ambiguous as to what can trigger it. And some of it is up to the discretion of the president to determine when those lines have been crossed.
Okay. Okay.
See, the military authority takes over civilian rule upon the declaration of martial law.
So martial law was used in Hawaii, for example, after the attacks on Pearl Harbor, the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Right.
But now Hawaii at that time was a territory,
Right.
not a state, but it came under martial law. I was just kind of quickly reading. Martial law was used after the Battle of New Orleans, after some major disasters like the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, the San Francisco earthquake 1906.
One of the things that is an act of war is foreign interference in a U.S. election.
That's in the definition of war, or
that is in legislation.
Legislation.
Define foreign interference in a U.S. election as an act of war against the United States. We know that has happened. That is what J6 was all about, was to cover up the inquiry into the 2020 election. That's what that was all about.
Yeah, believe that.
Now, the information proving that has been withheld until the time is right. Because in politics, timing is everything. What we do know is that Trump has said he has it all. And I think that's what he's doing. He's got it in his left hand and waiting to bring it out onto the table. Similarly, Mark Pence certifying the election without pausing for investigation upon challenge by 2 U.S. senators and a congressman violated the Constitution and nullified the election. So on 2 counts, Trump can say that an act of war, 1, the foreign entities interfering in the election, and 2, Pence illegally certifying the election.
Without allowing the investigation,
the 50-day investigation
to occur when the results were challenged by 2 senators. Because previous elections had been challenged before, weren't they?
I don't know.
Were they?
Democrats always challenged a Republican that was elected. Yeah. They raised issues all the time, and in Congress.
I wasn't aware of a 50-day investigation period, but I thought I had heard that when Democrats had challenged previous elections, that those challenges were at least acknowledged in the Electoral College and an investigation was made. I didn't know if that was minutes or hours, or I assumed it was kind of like hours. I've never heard the 50-day thing, Zach. Where does that come from?
I don't remember. It was in reading. There's an awful lot out there that's difficult to access. And if I pull it up on the screen anymore, I screenshot it because it may not be there an hour later.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, all this discussion today may not be on YouTube very long. We just don't know, but it'll stay on Rumble, so we'll have some viaduct out to the public. So here, I want to read you guys something on my phone. It says there is no specific provision in U.S. code that explicitly authorizes the declaration of martial law by the president. Neither the Constitution nor federal law grants the president clear authority to declare martial law, and the Supreme Court has never ruled definitively on the president's power to do so. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. So I have to research that a little bit more.
What I read was when certain things. One of the things is if the lawlessness or the situation in a state or a city becomes so bad that the local authorities cannot control it,
Yeah.
then the president can send in the military to quell the riot, the insurrection, the sedition, or whatever's going on without further ado, because it has to happen now.
Yeah, that would probably
Zach,
trigger the Insurrection Act, right?
Yeah.
And I
Zach,
think
Zach, you were Border Patrol agent for what, 30 years?
27.
27?
26 plus, yeah.
Did the activities of the Border Patrol ever cross into martial law or military tribunals? Did they ever have to be used to deal with situations related to your Border Patrol experience that couldn't have been handled elsewhere in another way?
Well, you remember Elian Gonzalez?
I remember the name for some reason.
He was a kid in Florida that the Democrats forced back to go back to Cuba. You remember?
His mother brought him across the Straits of Florida in a small boat, and she drowned in the trip.
Oh.
And the child, I think he was either 5 when it happened, 7 when they sent him back, something like that. And he was delivered to relatives in Miami. Okay. And the Cuban government forced the father, still in Cuba, to reclaim the child and require that he be sent back to the United States. The family said no. The father and the mother agreed that she would take the child to Miami so he could be raised in America.
Okay.
And she died bringing him to Miami.
To the U.S.? Okay.
And it was Janet Reno that brought the Border Patrol in to take Elian by force and send him back to Cuba.
They took him by force, too.
Yeah.
They took him by force from a civilian jail?
From a house.
I think it was sisters of his mother.
Yeah.
So she used the Border Patrol to take a child away from family members and return him to Cuba forcefully.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 It was pretty ugly event. Yeah. And I'm sure the Border Patrol wasn't happy about it.
I was involved in the Mariel boat lift in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, which is Fort Smith. It's, kind of like Daytona and Daytona Beach. It's hard to tell the difference between the two when you're there. And the problem is there were Cubans and Haitians that were being detained in World War II era military. It was an inactive base. It had 2- and 3-story wooden buildings. And, they'd hack off pieces of wood and make weapons out of it and beat each other up on the weekends. And the locals couldn't handle it. The military police couldn't handle it, so they sent in the Border Patrol.
Oh.
And it got quiet quick. You have to understand how aliens think. And once they've been in prison in a foreign country, especially the Cubans and Haitians, being in a limited security situation like they were at Fort Chaffee is an invitation to cause trouble. I won't describe some of what I saw the day I got there, but it was ugly. And every weekend we had the machete championships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were having trouble with keeping people in the confinement. So I was assigned to find out how they were getting out of the compound. So what they were doing was they were claiming they were sick or injured, going to the infirmary. And there was a place behind the infirmary where they could scale the fence and jump over and be outside of the compound and run a short distance to the railroad tracks and in a few minutes be in Fort Smith. But once you cut off one place, you find another. So another day, the local police had this 15-year-old kid, which didn't have a driver's license, and he was a detainee. But he was driving a pickup truck that belonged to a contractor doing work inside the compound. So he was employing one of the internees from Cuba to help him do his job inside the compound. That's how lax the security was until the Border Patrol got there. And then that stopped. I'll tell you the big story after we're off the air.
Yeah. I told everybody to remind me that you had a story to tell us, Zach. So here's something else I just found. I want to read this to you guys. It says that the authority to impose martial law in the United States is derived from multiple sources, though the Constitution does not explicitly grant this power to the president. One theory holds that martial law arises from the law of paramount necessity to maintain public order and keep the peace, stemming from the nature of governmental authority rather than a specific constitutional provision. Another theory, the supreme political authority, such as the president during wartime or Congress, can validly establish martial law constitutionally. The president's authority is linked to their role as commander-in-chief under Article 2 of the Constitution. And of course, Congress is Article 1. And then it also says that in most states, state governors have clear constitutional authority to declare martial law derived from their own state constitutions. So Paul, you got video and audio now? I have no audio. Can't hear you. Let me see. Let me get you on here. So you guys go ahead. So any comments about what do we think? What do we think is going to happen here? What do you think?
I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Zach.
I think that a lot of people that are United States citizens, some of them dual nationals, serving as elected officials in the United States, are going to be declared enemy combatants. And they're going to be tried under martial law. Okay. Because there's so many of them, and it would be such a political scandal, and it would take so long that Trump has been setting up the situation to justify martial law, to declare these people enemy combatants, mostly in assisting in overthrowing the 2020 election.
Or just trying to overthrow the president of the United States, the duly elected president.
I think there's going to be a layer of misdeed, and it will be so overwhelming and so obvious that the people will get behind it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And all this falls under the conspiracy laws where there's no statute of
Exactly.
limitations, right?
Treason, murder, conspiracy.
Yeah.
No statute of limitation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting.
Well, seditious conspiracy is actually fairly easy these days to prove because of so much public media.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
what these people get on there and say,
Yeah.
and Trump's been making a big deal out of this,
Yeah.
especially with the mayor of Chicago and the
Oh,
governor
yeah.
of Chicago.
And Adam Schiff.
Oh, Schiff's dead meat.
Yeah, I think it was the Missouri senator reminded him the other day. He looked right at him and said, "I'll remind you, there's no statute of limitations on conspiracy, Senator."
Yeah, he doesn't look like. Well, first of all, is that Adam Schiff?
Yeah, well, I don't. He's got a pencil neck, so.
Is that really Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah.
Where's
don't know.
Dianne Feinstein?
Yeah.
Is that really Gavin Newsom? I don't think so. It doesn't look like him.
Yeah.
What was it Trump called him? Central casting?
Yeah.
I just,
So do you have audio? You have audio now, Paul? No, you don't have audio. Can't hear you. I don't know why you don't.
Well, before we wrap up, gentlemen, Zack, you asked a very good question last week, whether any of the counties or the state of Arizona had ever done an audit on these federal only voters that we were kind of talking about last week.
Right.
And I spoke with the county recorder in Yavapai County. She said that they have kind of done an audit, and they determined they only have about 300. I thought this was interesting. There's only about 300 federal only voters in Yavapai County out of about 180,000 total voters. So that's about 0.16%, just a little bit below 0.2%. Statewide, there's about 40,000 federal only voters out of a little over 4 million total voters. So that's about it's about 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So 1% of the total voters in Arizona are in this federal only category. But in Yavapai County, it's a much smaller percentage. There's 300 out of 180,000. Michelle Birchill told me on the radio in a public, I was interviewing her on the radio. I've got a radio show on Tuesday mornings that I do in Prescott. And she said that they did kind of an audit of those 300, and they found that at least 230 of those 300 were most likely, or were for sure. No, she didn't say for sure. She said that 230 of the 300 are most likely citizens. The other 70, that doesn't mean that they aren't citizens, but I was at least wanting to share that with you, that at least one county, Yavapai, has done an audit and feels like at least 230 of the 300 are citizens. And you become a federal only voter by registering using a federal form where you attest or promise or swear that you are a citizen under penalty of perjury. But as you noted last week, that doesn't mean much if you are if you're trying to defraud the voter registration system and become a registered voter when you were not entitled to do so. I don't think the attestation on your voter registration form would slow you down much if you were interested in trying to defraud the state of Arizona. But at least in Yavapai County, they feel that 230 out of 300 are for sure citizens.
Well, predating my 16 years as a county chairman, when I was in McAllen, Texas for about 9 years, I discovered that documentary false claim to United States citizenship was common.
Common? Okay.
Common.
Well, the Iowa Secretary of State. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And almost all of those had a foundational document that was valid.
Oh.
And they were impersonating that person by assuming their identity. This is what Obama did to assume the identity of a man from the Northeast that died in Hawaii. Because there's no way he had a Social Security number that was issued in Connecticut well before he was born. So that is a prime example of what you can do if people don't understand that those kind of things are possible.
Well, I noted
Joe Arpaio proved it.
I noted in the media today, I think it was reported that the Republican Secretary of State of the state of Ohio just referred almost 1,100 people to the Department of Justice. Now, I don't know how many registered voters there are in Ohio, but I think Ohio is bigger than Arizona, and we've got 4.2 million registered voters. But the Secretary of State of Ohio just referred almost 1,100 voters in Ohio to the Department of Justice who have allegedly, through some false misrepresentation, become registered voters when they were not eligible by citizenship to do so.
Right. This is the problem with the employer sanctions. These people can come in with this false document. It's counterfeit. But if you're not trained to recognize counterfeit, you're going to take a picture of that, put it in the I-9 file, and say this person's got a work authorization because he's legally in the United States.
Yeah.
Here comes a Border Patrol agent doing employment sanctions. He takes one look at that Xerox copy, has them bring that alien in and break him to the false claim. Well, now the employer can say, oh, well, I'm not trained to do that. So they can't. This is what Tyson Chicken was doing in Georgia. They were actually going into Mexico and recruiting these people, providing the false document to them, then bringing them into the United States.
Yep. There you go. So I want to.
Somebody sitting in the office that's never dealt with these kind of things doesn't know what to look for.
We had an employee at Bennett Oil, very good employee, and it had to have been during what administration? When the federal government started to crack down on illegals falsifying employment authorization documents. He came to us and admitted that he was in the country illegally and we had to let him go. But I mean, on the one hand, we hated to do so because he was a really good employee. But the documents he had provided, he admitted were false.
So Ken,
I can't remember how many Border Patrol agents have been arrested for being illegally in the country.
Really?
If it's that hard to determine, how can John Q. Citizen running an oil business in central Arizona figure it out? You can't.
Yeah, they're very sneaky. So let me ask, Ken, do you want to tell us what the radio station is and what the name of your radio show is? I can put it on on the video?
Well, it's KYCA, which stands for Yavapai County, Arizona. It's one of the earlier stations in Prescott. It's on the AM, it's 1490. On the FM, it's 103.5. And they have a talk show every Monday through Friday at 8 to 9 a.m. And I'm the Tuesday host. So now they also have a talk show in the afternoon, 4 to 5, and there's other people that do those. But I have the 8 to 9 o'clock. It's called KYCA Talks. Tuesday mornings, 8 to 9 a.m.
Good.
And you can stream it live on kyca.info.
Okay, cool. So when are you going to have Shauna Bolick on as a guest?
Whenever. I sat right behind Shauna. I'm a big fan of Shauna Bolick.
Yeah, get her on there. She's terrific. So I plug her all the time, as you guys know. So
yeah.
So I'm going to.
She's not from our district.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, she's down in Maricopa, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Some over in the north of Scottsdale area, I think.
Yeah, North Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
go ahead,
a
Zack.
little birdie told me that Maricopa County is going to get some ICE attention.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Maricopa County, the county, or
the county, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, Phoenix.
Yeah.
But there was, whoever is running ICE in Maricopa County is in charge of Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, they just put a new person in charge of that area too, right? That was one of the ICE people that just got replaced.
Yeah, and who
Really?
replaced him? Border Patrol.
Border Patrol is replacing all of them. Yeah. And you guys heard that, right? They're 13 different cities. They're replacing the head ICE guy with some new top Border Patrol people because it's not going fast enough.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to conclude the show so we can hear Zack's story. And I apologize to the public. This is a private story, so we cannot release the contents to you. So we're going to finish our show tonight, and thanks you all for joining. And you guys stay on the air now. I'm not going to shut you off, and I'm just going to stop recording. So God bless everybody, and God bless America, and thank you guys for being on this week. And we will see you next week, I hope. And happy Halloween tomorrow. Don't know if you celebrate Halloween, but we'll be in our jammies inside with the porch light off. Hiding. Okay, here we go.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better.